Hey, getting ready to build the mini foundry here, and I just wanted to do a couple of videos to show you how I'm doing it and talk to you about the process. So initially, this project was interesting to me because my grandfather moved away from the farm in Mankato, Minnesota, and went to work at the foundry from 1961 to 1977 until he retired. And so I was kind of interested to know what it was like, what foundry work was like, and I thought that this would be a fun project that I would be able to do and make some points. So I'm going to show you all the materials and the process, and hopefully get an opportunity to test it when it's all said and done. Okay, so I was at Lowe's last night. I picked up a 25-pound bag of plaster of Paris, and then I went to look for a metal pail. They didn't have any. I initially found these things right here, which it turns out that they weren't for sale, that they were actually what was left over from a display. So they gave me them at Lowe's, which they gave me 6 of them, which, you know, that's great. I thought like maybe in a pinch I could use them to make us like a super, you know, mini forge. But as I was walking around, the only metal pail I ended up finding was this 6-gallon trash can, which is bigger, you know, bigger than what was recommended in the video. But I think you know, that's fine. I'll just make a little bit bigger of a unit, and I think it'll work out fine. So I got that. I got the a 10-inch pipe, steel pipe, 1-inch in diameter, with the coupling, the 1-inch coupling with the slip fitting, and this 1-inch PVC. That's kind of what I'm paying for. The rest of this stuff is, you know, stuff that I already have or I got for free. I did have to buy the hole saw, but you know what? Tools are kind of something that you need anyway. I got a paddle mixer, I got a hacksaw, and then I got a cordless drill that I can use to for the saw and the paddle mixer. This this fire extinguisher right here is also bigger than what was recommended in the video. It is about 4¼ inches in diameter on the outside, but I think it's going to work because, you know, the bucket is also bigger, so it's going to be a little bit bigger crucible than what was recommended. The interesting thing about these is that they're recommended to be replaced every 12 years for a rechargeable one and every 10 years for a disposable one. This one is rechargeable, and it's actually exactly 12 years old. Okay, Bob, pull the pin. So after doing all the math, my mixture is going to come out to 6 quarts of sand, 6 quarts of plaster of Paris, and 4½ quarts of water. Now, I also forgot to mention that I already had some paver sand. Okay, I'm on my way over to my buddy Jeff's house. He has a tool that I need. So what I ended up doing, the bucket was only about 2/3 of the way full of material when I inserted the cavity, the bucket that was going to take place of the cavity. Okay, quick update. So this is what the Foundry ended up looking like. I casted it with the this display trash can that I got for free from Lowe's inside, and then I I didn't have the tool, so I had to go over to my buddy Jeff's house and used his Dremel, and we cut the top off of it, and then I used a channel lock, and I just bent the edges over, and it's not clean or sexy, but you know what, this thing's gonna be on fire, so I'm not worried about that. My initial intention was to cast it and then pull this out like they do in the video with the plastic bucket, but this thing is steel, so I thought, you know what, why don't just leave it in there. It'll protect the Foundry, probably make it last a little bit longer with this liner in there. So then I cut the hole here with the drill bit. I thought it was a 1 3/4 inch hole saw. I'll have to go back and check the video. Maybe it was 1 3/8, because it seems like it's a little bit bigger than I want it to be. There's some play there, so I'm gonna have to probably figure out a way to adjust that to try to keep that at that kind of downward angle there, so then you can see the top there. And then we discharged the fire extinguisher, and then this is what we ended up with here. I got it, I think I cut it at 7 inches high, and I want to say it's like 5 1/4 in diameter, so it fits right in there. And it looks like it's just about the same kind of distance around for the coals is what it shows in the video. So yeah, that's the Foundry. And then this morning here, I've decided to try to cast a top, and it did not come out as well as I wanted it to. The first challenge was, I thought, you know, let me make some handles, and then I'll just sink them in there. So I didn't buy any of the U-bolts, which I think was a mistake. I probably should have just bought the U-bolts, but I was trying to you know, use like readily available stuff that I have around the house, waste material, and reuse it. So I cut these were some stakes, and I used some lag bolts to put them in there and countersunk them. And then this was before I put them in there, but I kept breaking them. I broke 4 of them, and so I ended up with this one, which has only got 1 bolt through it. And then after I poured the mixture in here, I tried to put these handles in there, but I had cut the handles wider than the bowl, so they were stuck right here, so they couldn't get into the mixture because the mixture was didn't come up high enough. So that was a kind of a mistake. One thing I did was I used some of this this screen here as sort of a rebar for the mixture. Now the screen is aluminum, and I know that could be problematic, but I'm hoping that there'll be enough insulation to keep it cool enough that it will actually keep form and not liquefy while it's inside of the form. Now I don't know. In hindsight, what I should have done was, at Lowe's they had a galvanized steel lathe, which was 27 inches by 8 feet, and it's only like $9 and some change, which is a heck of a lot better than using the steel wool or the Brillo pads that they had in the video, you know, which would probably cost the same amount. The steel lathe is much better for that. So anyways, I cut a circle, and then I cut a hole in it, and then while the mixture was setting up, I sunk the circle in there, and then I tried to put the handles in. And this handle right here, I don't even know if it's going to be useful or not. And, you know, I don't know if either of these handles are just going to pop right out. We'll see. But I used a Progresso can, a chicken noodle
chicken herb and dumplings, which is, you know, it's a crucial flavor for this project. But you know, you can see it's not open. I'll probably eat it for lunch or something. But I sunk it in there. It's 3¼ inches in diameter, which I thought was about, I was looking for something that was about 3½. I needed to cast the hole in there because I don't have anything to drill a hole that big. Okay, here's our setup right here. I ended up putting on this little sort of sealant. It came with the incinerator, a new incinerator that I had, but I just ended up using the old parts that I took off the old one. So I just took this, I hammered it out to curve it in the same kind of fashion as the bucket there, and that enables the pipe to get at that angle that I needed. So then we went and had an old hair dryer that an old roommate left me, and I put in a piece of galvanized steel rod here, and then a piece of stainless drain between the PVC and the hair dryer, and then I used metal duct tape, which will be fine up to 260 degrees. So I don't have to worry. I shouldn't have to worry about melting anything with the hair dryer. And then we got it hooked up. I had some of that lump charcoal, so we're all set. Okay, so I just got finished with our first / second / third firings of the mini metal foundry. So I learned a couple things. The first time that I got it going, I realized that I couldn't get the bottom hot enough, even though the sides were getting really hot. So, and also there was a lot of uneven heat, just because of the way that the air is blowing through there. It was burning, you know, part of it more than the other. For example, where the air tube goes in, there's not as much charcoal on that side, just simply because it can't, because the tube blocks it. So that side ended up burning faster, and so there was some uneven heating. Well, so once I realized that I couldn't get the bottom hot enough, the aluminum wasn't melting, I took it out and I let all the coals fall to the bottom, and then I put the crucible back in there on top of the coals, and then put the top back on. Now it's kind of problematic because as you can see, the cover doesn't, it kind of rests on top. So I think that it would have held a little bit more heat in if it was even with the top, like if I cut 1 more inch off the top of the crucible and then just plan for that in the future. But with this fire extinguisher being so big, it just, you can't get a lot of charcoal in there. So in the future, what I would do is heat up charcoal first, get it hot, then to put the crucible in, and then put new charcoal around the sides of the crucible, and then fire it for real that way.